I find this whole sort of new age of the super cell phone to be rather interesting because I feel that I have more reason than my average peer to be sort of hyper connected and using all of these things all the time, and I have to have to have a phone, and I do obviously, well, I guess I shouldn't say obviously, but in this day and age it more or less is obvious. Carry my phone with me everywhere. It does have the internet. For a while I took the internet off my phone though, because there was just like whole weeks of the month that it wasn't working. But now I have unlimited text and unlimited internet, and I use them to a fair degree, but it seems that there are certain people sort of, they can't put these things down. And I'm not one of those people. In fact, I'll go long periods of time without responding to text messages, or sometimes even just get like aggravated if because text provides the illusion of availability. Just as a sort of a funny side note, my aunt and my mom and other people, they didn't understand the point of text messaging for the longest time, and then finally they got like full keyboards, and now they're texting all the time, and most of the time they would never even think to call. They're like, oh, text me. But my aunt has a PhD in business communication, right? So she gets paid money to teach people how to communicate with each other, and her text messages are like indistinguishable from a 12-year-old's. She uses all like the horrendous contractions and numbers instead of letters that were that teenagers are always looked down on for, and I type in full sentences mostly, unless it's a matter of like the restriction, like space restriction. But I sort of wonder, I mean, I can speculate on a number of different things that people are trying to fill some void in their life by having this technology constantly surrounding them, constantly using it. But I'm not sure that seems just too cheap and too quick to say, well, there's this void in their soul that they need to fill with, putting on their cell phones, or we live in an age of ADD. I've been sort of feeling that a lot of these answers that we want to commonly give, and even that I would want to commonly give for why these things are so, just seem to be, I suspect there's more to it. And although all of these things probably have something to do with it, I have just as many, friends as the average person, but I don't feel the need to text them constantly. I have more. I mean, I don't know anybody else who has as many. Not that I'm like, oh, look at me, I'm so fucking internet popular, because that's that's not really that big of a deal, I guess, in a sense. I'm here doing it, and I appreciate the communication that I get with other people out of it, but I'm not here for some number on my channel or some number of followers on Twitter. But nonetheless, I do have a substantially larger microphone than the average person, and it almost seems like I don't, and maybe that's why I don't try as hard as other people who are constantly glued to their phones. They're glued to their social media. They got to get their Facebook on, they got to get their Facebook on their phone because they're trying to leverage their what they have as much as possible, and whereas I have more just less of a need to do so, I guess. But I wonder what it is that people... Professor Anton, I have to mention, is partly inspired this sort of what I've been thinking about in this video, in that he talked about what people are getting out of Facebook and various angles to look at it, and why there's like Facebook addiction and all of these different sort of things. And lately I've just been thinking about all these different social media and the way that they... for want of a better term, mediate the way that we experience our reality. And obviously, as a corollary of that, is I want to do a lot more videos about how the gap, the production gap in terms of quality is narrowing between you know, the old media powers and what the average person can do on their own, and how the internet sort of amplifies that as a distribution system, and all these new technology and software. But I don't know if I had any direct point in this, but I'm bringing this up as sort of like something that I'd like to see more discussion about the media, about the way in which we as people are using media to express ourselves and to connect with other people. Obviously, YouTube is a huge part of that, and so I've always said that's why I've been on YouTube, is to connect with other people and discuss things in a platform. And so on one hand, I wonder why people seem to be trying really, you know, they're glued to their phone and their Facebook, but it's like, what is it that you're I mean, are you just like, do you just constantly feel the need to share inside jokes with other people, or are you just like arranging this elaborate social life that you have? Because I mean, I think I'm just as busy and active as everybody else, but I don't need this the way that other people seem to. So I'm fascinated as to why they do. And also the fact that, given the fact that the average person has these creative tools within their grasp, why are not more people utilizing them? Some people are. Some people really are trying to push the boundaries of what these sorts of tools can achieve. But given how widely they are available to people, there seems to be less dynamics than one might imagine, although maybe not, and maybe this is just sort of a statement on human nature, and that this is a good assessment of it, you know, philosophically speaking, when you're looking at sort of human nature and disposition. Or maybe it's just our culture of the time and cultural conditioning of why you have so many people who are not achieving their potential, who are not out there trying to fully struggle for something beyond just the status quo, be it artistically or whatever. You can extend that to politics or any of these other subjects. And so I'm going to cut off this rambling video now, but hopefully in all of this stuff that I've said, some of you have gotten something out of this in some fashion that will inspire you to respond in a more coherent fashion that will, you know, perpetuate the discussion. So I don't have any clever sign-off thing, and people have been telling me that all my videos end abruptly, so